Now, okay. Hello battlers, Russ Merrow here, and today we're going to be opening a box of BS53 Amazing Impact. Also, I have a couple of these Battle Spirits Gundam collaboration boosters to give away, and information on how to win one of these will be at the end of the video. This is what the poster looks like as a whole. First off, each first print edition of this box comes with a pack of sleeves featuring the visual art of the new upcoming Battle Spirits anime, Battle Spirits Garrett of the Revolution. Now that is some really epic artwork featuring the main character Garrett and his key Rebirth spirit, the Dragonic Arthur, which starts off as a purple Dragonite spirit before transforming into a red dragon. The anime actually starts today with the first episode set to be streamed on the official Battle Spirits YouTube channel, so for those of you guys who are new to the series, I definitely recommend giving this new Battle Spirits anime a shot, because I think you guys will find like the animation, story, characters, and like even the monster designs themselves are all super cool, and that might really be an awesome opportunity for you guys to get into Battle Spirits. Now let's get right into this box. Now just to show you guys a quick comparison, this cool ass Dragon Knight on the pack art standing behind Garrett there, that's the base form Sordius Dragoon, which when rebirths transforms into Dragonic Arthur, which is the one that you guys are seeing on the sleeves over there. Now let's open our very first pack. This is a really exciting set to open. First of all, it contains the remaining World Rebirth rares for the remaining three colors, green, purple, and yellow, as well as like a support for Primal decks for those three colors as well. And starting off, we are getting the Pioneer Vampire Angie. And as a Pioneer, she's one of the cards that basically supports the Primal deck for that color in the same way that the God Seekers supported the Grandwalker decks for each individual color. Okay, very cool seeing like all... Ooh, nice! And here we have Knight Bladra, a purple zero-cost version of Bladra. Those of you guys who are like a bit familiar with Battle Spirits and maybe even Xenon's art would be familiar with Bladra and how powerful of a card that is. Okay, ooh, this is a pretty nice looking card. Oh, wow! And in our very first pack, we are already starting off with what is... Oh, wait. Sorry, I overreacted there. I kind of overreacted over there. But anyway, our first card over here is just going to be a rare. And yes, Battle Spirits rares look like this. They essentially pretty much look like the super rares or double rares in other card games, and it's something I'm honestly still not quite used to because I haven't really bought that much Battle Spirits until this whole Returner saga. So this is just a rare over here. It's a revival card. The Sakura General Indra, followed by a Rebirth rare. Yes, a Rebirth rare for Rit, I believe. And this is the Flame Beast Prince Leon Edge, which is flipped over from a green card, the Rouse Beast Prince Leon Edge. So now in this set, we are getting a lot more Rebirth cards that actually change colors when they are flipped. So originally it's green, the A side is the one with the cost on the left, and then it flips into red, where the cost is on the right. Okay, so very cool. And on top of the cards that I mentioned earlier, we are also getting some Xenon's Art collaboration cards, which I'm really looking forward to getting. We are getting mainly the legends from the very first set in Xenon's Art, and out of those, I'm definitely hoping to pull Yakutork the most, the 9-cost green tree giant. Okay. As for the world Rebirth rare, I'm really hoping to... Ooh, nice! Camelot Knight 10. So this is a new version, like a retrain of Camelot Knight, which is one of my most favorite of purple cards in Battle Spirits, just of the design. Really love that whole chest theme. And here, ooh, Yakumo revival version. I remember this guy was used by like one of the early purple battlers in Burning Soul. So those of you guys who watch Burning Soul might recognize that as well. And is this our first foil? Yes, it is. And we are starting off with a Master Rare for white, followed by a red, followed by a green. Wait, is that? It's white. Wait a minute, it's kind of hard to see. So this Rebirth rare is the Imperial Rouse Warlord Ojin Dragon, and he has two forms depending on how he uses his sword. In his base form, he is red in the Suzaku style, and then after that, he can change over to the Genbu style, where he becomes white. Looks a bit green because of the lighting, I think, and the way they foil it. Now let's take a look at our Master Rare. The Heavy Armor Mobile Shield Dia. So it's a Primal armed machine at 4 cost. At levels 1, 2, and 3, when this spirit is summoned or blocked, you can return one opposing Nexus to the bottom of your opponent's deck. At levels 1, 2, and 3, Heavy armor, green, white, and blue, which essentially means that this spirit is immune to effects from cards of that color, except for ultimates. At levels 1, 2, and 3, flash during your opponent's attack step. Once per turn, by putting one core on this spirit from the void, refresh it, and if your count is at 3 or higher, return one opposing spirit to the bottom of the deck. Now that is honestly a pretty strong card. First of all, like being able to return an opposing nexus to the bottom of the deck every time it is blocked is going to be so strong against other Primal decks by basically like returning your opponent's Rebirth nexuses back to their deck before those nexuses can rebirth into their spirit forms. For example, like even the world ones or like the non-world Rebirth nexuses as well. And its final effect during flash, by being able to become active, that's typically one of the conditions for white Rebirth nexuses to actually rebirth. So that's gonna help you like flip over your white world and other related cards. Here we have a Godseeker, the WBS specialized MC, Vihan, and he's basically for the new Grandwalker Lakshmi for blue as the Godseeker for the deck. So he'll help you search out Lakshmi as well as a complementary card. Twin Lizard, a 1-cost red card, and here we have another foil this time. Yes, I believe this is an X-Rare for yellow, and it's one of the new Rouse X-Rares. The Rouse Pope Meltiana. At levels 1, 2, and 3, when this spirit is summoned or when it attacks, during this turn, one of your opponent's spirits or ultimates gets minus 10k BP. You can activate this effect additional times equal to your current count. So if you've rebirthed once and your count is at 1, you can already use this effect twice. And if your count is at 3, that'll basically mean you can use this effect 4 times. Of course, when your opponent's spirit's BP is reduced to 0 by this effect, they are destroyed. And this effect can only be activated once per turn regardless of how many Meltianas you have on the field, because honestly, that is seriously powerful. At levels 2 and 3, when this spirit attacks, move one core from the void to your life. And at level 3, during your attack step, whenever your life would increase, instead of doing so, you can take one core from your opponent's life and move it to the trash instead. Now, this is honestly a pretty dang insane card because yellow in Battle Spirits has always specialized in healing. But you know, sometimes you heal as much as you want and try to stall the game as long as you want. That's still not enough to reduce your opponent's life to 0 because you might not have like the offensive potential. But now, with Meltiana, you can convert that healing into damage to your opponent, which is like, oh my god, I think this is the first card to be able to do that in Battle Spirits for yellow, and I think it's going to be like pretty game-changing for yellow as a whole because it gives yellow some form of like indirect piercing offense, which is going to be really powerful. Here we have Camelot Rook, which is a new card to kind of add on to like the Camelot Knight family. Really nice to see him, love the design. Some more magics, revival card. Mist Shield, I guess it's a new defensive. Oh, okay. And here is, this rarity is CP, and here we have our first Xenazard collaboration card in Battle Spirits. So what we pulled is one of the Codeman Grandwalker Nexuses, and the one we got is Nonoin Nilon. Now this one is the one that I am, or rather the Codeman Grandwalkers are not the ones I'm most hyped about. I'm more hyped about the actual minions that are basically spirits in Battle Spirits. So let's hope to see which one we'll actually get, because I'm thinking we'll probably get one of the Codeman Grandwalkers and then one of the minion CPs as well. Okay, moving on. Another Knight Bladra. This Nexus is pretty cool though. I think it's like the Holy Sword of the Dragon. I believe it might have something to do with like Garrett's key spirit somehow. Maybe it's the sword that... Wait a minute, what is this? Our next X-Rare has come already, which is a bit of a shame, man. I don't know, it's like... I don't really want to see all of my X-Rares come so fast, man, because those are like the key highlights. And anyway, here we have the Zero Right Empress, Queen Flawless. This card on the field, in the trash or in the remove zone cannot be returned to the hand or deck or switch places by either player's effects. This card in your hand is unaffected by your opponent's effects, and you have 3 or more pure white Primal cards in your trash. You can summon it at no cost during a flash timing of your opponent's attack step. and if you do so, during that turn, this card is unaffected by your opponent's effects. At levels 2 and 3, when this spirit attacks or blocks, it gets BP plus 5k, and once per turn, you can also refresh it. Now that is really strong, man. I mean, the condition is really easy to fulfill, and then you can use it as a very strong defensive card to just bring it out when your opponent is trying to push for damage during their turn. And the moment you do so, by activating its like second effect, you can refresh it, which will then fulfill the condition for you to basically rebirth your white rebirth cards, while on top of that, giving it that permanent BP plus 5k boost, because it did not specify that power boost is only until the end of the turn, which means it's just going to become an even stronger shield for you every single time it attacks, every single time it blocks. And considering the fact that it can refresh itself by its own effect, that's going to give you a lot of opportunities for you to boost its power. Very cool! So here's another CP card, and this time it's for the Orin Past Future Grandwalkers, and this time the one that we managed to get is for Poseidon. I believe the one we got in BS52 was Hermes. Anyway, let's take a look at this card. So this is Poseidon in the past, Poseidon past, which when flipped over becomes the Grandwalker, Poseidon future. Very cool. So let's just keep the CP cards on the side in the same area. Carry on. Okay, very nice so far. 2 X-Rares, 1 Master. We still haven't seen our world just yet. Still hoping for, well, out of all 3 worlds, I think purple is the one that looks the coolest, so that's the one I'm going for the most. Yellow is the one that I'm least hyped about. Green would be pretty okay. Usually I'm a fan of like the green cards, but like the monkey as the nature god of like the green world isn't very cool in this case. Okay, and it looks like this is just a rebirth rare. Yes, and it is a WBS card, I believe. Yep, a WBS rebirth rare. The WBS champion, Zeophiras. So he starts off as a blue wrestler, and then when he puts on his mask, he suddenly works for green. Pretty cool. I like this whole concept of like color swapping rebirth cards, because like, let's say you use a deck whose color just happens to be weak against your opponent's color, like your opponent just so happens to have cards which allow them to basically target your cards of a specific color and like basically weaken their plays. But then now that you have rebirth cards that basically swap their color in the middle of the battle, that allows you to kind of like avoid those kinds of strategies to a certain extent. The Angelia of Olympics Phallic. Probably an old card, because only the old cards have that kind of English text on the top right. It is a revival one, and this is just a rare, so I'm assuming... Oh, so here's our second master rare, and it's a pretty cool looking one if I do say so myself. The Dragonite Albel. Okay, so if this is a Dragonite card, I'm assuming it's kind of going to be used by Garrett as well. At levels 1, 2, and 3, when this spirit is summoned, for each of your spirits on the field with Dragon Knight or Dragon Knight Emperor in their name, move 1 core from each of your opponent's spirits to the reserve. Okay, so that basically confirms that it's going to be one of Garrett's cards because he plays basically the Dragon Knight cards. At levels 2 and 3, when this spirit attacks, move 1 core from your opponent's trash to the void, other than their soul core. That is pretty good, man. That is essentially, well, to put it in the context of other card games that's easy to understand, you are essentially destroying one of your opponent's mana. So that is basically going to decelerate their plays in that sense. That is very strong. And I love how it's still very purple-esque, but still a slightly different take from the usual purple effect, which is just removing cores from your opponent's spirits to destroy the spirits themselves, but not usually to attack their mana directly. Okay. Alright, looks like our Rebirth X-Rare is here, and out of the 3 worlds, Purple World, Green World, and Yellow World, the card that we pulled is the Yellow World. At level 1, if your count is 5 or less, when your life decreases, when your life increases by the effect of a Primal card, or when this Nexus would leave the field by one of your opponent's effects, you can basically rebirth it by placing your Soul Core on it. At level 1, when this Nexus is deployed during this turn, one of your opponent's spirits gets minus 6k BP, and if its BP becomes 0, it is destroyed. At level 1, during your opponent's attack step, all of your opponent's spirits with an original cost of 6 or lower cannot be refreshed by card effects. Wait a minute. I was not expecting Yellow World to be that good, but that is such a big block and obstacle to white decks. And of course, once you flip the Yellow World around, you basically get Kino Musoshin, the Yellow Dream Goddess. At level 1, when this spirit rebirths for each of your counts during this turn, one of your opponent's spirits cannot attack or block. That's a pretty nice finisher. Of course, as a world rebirth rare, it also possesses Return to Prime. When it leaves the world by your opponent's effects, you can basically pay the cost to redeploy it in its world form. At level 1, during your attack step, when your rebirthed spirit attacks, or when your yellow primal spirits attack, during this turn, one of your opponent's spirits gets minus 5k BP, and if it reaches 0, it is essentially destroyed. Now that is actually pretty strong, I find, because like yellow, well, is kind of known to like have a bit of a specialization in priming. Sorry, not priming, I mean swarming. For example, in the Egypt Ra deck, you'll basically like summoning many copies of the little baby Sphinx and using them to basically rush your opponent down. Now, I'm not too familiar with the new yellow cards in this set, but I'm assuming that they have some kind of low-cost rush mechanic, and if you have that in conjunction with Yellow World, you are just going to completely mow down your opponent's field, man. That is going to cause so much destruction, and well, it's just great that the effect applies to like rebirth spirits regardless of color in general as well, because then you can use it together with Chrono Breaker and the other powerful rebirth multi-color cards. And up next, we have another Master Rare. This is our third, this time for yellow, and it's a Druid, so it's definitely for Damatier, the new Yellow Grandwalker that debuted previous sets. The Superhuman Druid Priestess, Bel Narita. When summoning this card, you can banish up to 3 primal cards from your trash, and for each card banished this way, this card's summoning cost is reduced by 1. At levels 1, 2, and 3, whenever your cost 6, 7, or 8 Dark Arts spirits are destroyed by your opponent's effects, by returning a Dark Arts card from your trash to your hand, those spirits remain on the field in refreshed state. Wait a minute, that is just busted, man. Like, I don't know, at least let them remain on the field as exhaust, because that is just ridiculous. Like, literally, it is giving you a benefit for a benefit for a benefit. There is like no cost to this effect at all. And at levels 2 and 3, during your attack step, your opponent cannot use effects to end the attack step. So that is just gonna up your offensive game even more. Incredible, that is a really strong yellow card. But you know, I'm not too sure how well you can basically play a Damatier together with Yellow World. I guess you kind of can. It makes sense because essentially in the end, Damatier being a new Grandwalker, most of the Druids and Dark Arts spirits in her deck also have the Primal family, so they kind of are able to share their support in that sense, so I guess it's possible. But then it kind of makes me feel like red, purple, and white are kind of like being left out because they don't really have like a Grandwalker in that sense of a specific like a family which can be used in conjunction with their Primal decks. So fuck. Here it is, and our CP collaboration spirit from Xenonzard is going to be the one who draws fates, Lakshmi. And those of you guys who have played Xenonzard would be familiar with how powerful this card is. It's used in many like effect damage decks by basically swapping your opponent's life with the life of one of your forces, and then basically finishing them off with effect damage after that. While in the trash, this card is completely unaffected by other card effects. At levels 1 and 2, when this spirit is summoned, if you summoned it by paying the original cost, exchange all of the core in your opponent's trash with all of the core in their life, excluding the soul core. You can only activate this effect if your opponent has core in their trash other than the soul core. Dude, this is amazing. It is such an epically, powerfully loyal recreation of Lakshmi's actual effect in Xenonzard. And I mean, the potential is really there. Like, it is still situational to a certain extent, because in Battle Spirits, of course, you kind of want to spend as much core as possible at the end of your turn, right? So then usually at the end of your turn, during your opponent's turn, your trash will tend to have quite a lot of core. So this might not be the best effect to use in like most situations, but if you can somehow lure your opponent into like keeping a lot of core in their reserve and leaving only a small amount of core in their life, and then you just for some reason tag this card in your deck, that is going to be such a deadly finisher, you know. That is so amazing. But yeah, I mean overall it is not the greatest card to basically change or like affect the meta over here in Battle Spirits, and here is our next Master Rare, Smaragd Golem for blue. Pretty cool. I've always really liked the Golem cards in Battle Spirits. Their designs are always pretty awesome. At levels 1 and 2, when this spirit is summoned or attacks once per turn, you can take a cost 4 or lower blue Nexus from your trash and deploy it on your field at no cost. I mean, free blue world. At level 2, when this spirit attacks, ignoring the cost of Braves, you can destroy one of your opponent's spirits that is cost 4 or lower, and for each of your counts, the limit of this cost destruction effect increases by 1 cost. So for example, if your count is at 1, instead of cost 4 or lower, it becomes cost 5 or lower, and if your count is at 3, it becomes cost 7 or lower, just increasing basically the maximum cost that you can destroy by that effect. Well, nothing much to say about that, except it's pretty strong, very good for blue. Smashing your opponent's plays while essentially giving you back those free rebirth nexuses, which you can then rebirth in the next turn. Or even in the same turn, once you meet the conditions. Okay, we should be getting near the end of this box already. Oh, wait, this is one of those cool rebirth rares. It actually starts off as a green card, the Shell Rouse Swordsman Rhinoceros, because it's essentially modeled after a rhinoceros beetle, but for some reason, I guess he just loses real badly and starts falling into darkness, and then he rebirths into this evil, malicious purple card, the one who's fallen to darkness, Rhinoceros. Now that, I really love this kind of concept for like the rebirth rares, where like essentially there's some kind of story to them in terms of like how they rebirth as well. I really love this part about Battle Spirits. Like, they're not just blindly making cards, you know. For Battle Spirits, in a way that's a bit similar to Vanguard, they really pay attention to the lore of each character and card as they're making each of these cards, and that is something I really like. Like, some of you guys haven't noticed, but like Vanguard, we have like flavor text, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! We don't have any such thing. But for Battle Spirits, we also have some sort of flavor text on the bottom left over here, but it's much more than like compared to Vanguard. In Vanguard, it's typically more like just a quote or something that the unit says, but in Battle Spirits, you really get epic narratives, like bits of lore here and there in the flavor text of the different cards, which is honestly pretty epic. And this is a Master Rare for green, the Shell Shogun Gakhi Hopper. Burst. After your opponent destroys or depletes your spirit, open the top 3 cards of your deck, take 1 green rebirth spirit or rebirth nexus from among them, either summon or deployed at no cost, and the remaining cards are discarded. After that, you can summon this spirit at no cost. Well, nothing much to say about that, just pretty strong support for green rebirth. At levels 2 and 3, during your attack step, while your rebirthed spirits or green primal spirits are attacking, your opponent cannot activate burst effect. So, burst ceiling, very strong. Just gonna put that over there. Pretty typical of green, man. I mean, it's just a very simple, strong card to use for green. And I mean, bursts are always really powerful and game-changing in that sense. Okay. I think this is our second last pack. Let's see what we get. Oh, wait a minute! You're telling me we're guaranteed more than one Zenon Zard collaboration CP? Dude, now, okay. I gotta say, if the one collaboration minion I was hoping to get the most was Yakut Zork, this would be the one I second most want to get. Belphegor, the Demon King of Sorrow. At levels 1, 2, and 3, All of the spirit cards in your opponent's hand and remove zone have their cost increased by 3. This effect does not stack. Yes! Just like the real Belphegor. At levels 2 and 3, when this spirit attacks, you can take a pure purple spirit from your trash other than Belphegor and summon it for 2 cost. However, that spirit's when summoned effects do not activate. Very fair. Again, very loyal. I cannot stress how perfect these recreated effects are to be from like Xenonzart translated into battle spirits. That is so amazing. I honestly need all of them. I need all of them. Like, I'm definitely not going to buy another box, but I definitely need to buy all the rest of the Xenonzart collaboration cards in this set, man. They are just so cool. The minions especially. Codeman Grandwalkers, I'm not too hype on that because like their effects mainly support the minion family, which only applies to the Xenonzart collaboration cards, of which there are currently too little to make like a solid deck out of, so they're more of like for fun, I guess, rather than for practical use. But the Xenonzart spirits, they are still, I can see them still kind of like being teched and used in actual decks. Okay, wait a minute! We are ending off with an X-Rare. Pretty cool, and I believe this is the new Rouse Dragon for blue. Yes, and this is the Abyssal Rouse Dragon, Bashlom. At levels 1 and 2, when this spirit is summoned and when it attacks, you can destroy your opponent's spirit with the lowest cost, and if you destroyed a spirit this way, take 1 core from the void and place it on one of your spirits. Now that is honestly pretty strong, especially against like non-swarming deck, because like if your opponent only has 1 extremely strong spirit on their field, no matter how strong it is essentially their lowest cost spirit, right? So this kind of destruction is pretty awesome. Level 2, during your attack step, whenever your blue Primal pre-rebirth spirit or Nexus rebirths, you can declare either the core step or the draw step. During your opponent's next turn, they do not carry out that step. Now, this is not a once per turn effect. That means if during your attack step, while you have Bashlom on the field, you rebirth 2 blue Primal cards. Essentially, you can declare both the draw step and the core step, and during your opponent's next turn, they do not get +1 mana, they do not get the draw. Now that is pretty damn sick, man. So that will be the last card for this box. Here are our pulls. Overall, I guess I'm not too satisfied. I didn't really manage to pull the cards that I wanted the most, especially like the World Rebirth. I really wanted purple or like green at least, and we also didn't manage to pull Garrett's ace card, the Swordius Dragoon, and Dragonic Arthur. And on top of that, we didn't manage to get a double X rare, a special high rarity, and we also didn't get any of the Grandwalkers as well, which is a bit of a shame. So how to win one of these Gundam posters for yourself? I currently have 3 to give away. All you have to do is like this video, subscribe to my channel, and like and follow the World of Cards page on Facebook. After that, just drop a comment down below telling me what your favorite Gundam is out of the entire Gundam franchise so that I can find you and put you in the lucky draw. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like. Let me know what you guys think about these new Battle Spirits cards in the comment section down below. And don't forget to subscribe for more Battle Spirits content. I'm actually going to be opening another Battle Spirits box next month, and it's going to be Collaboration Booster 15, Kamen Rider The Path with Your Partners, which will feature Double, 01, and Kamen Rider Wizard making his first appearance in the Battle Spirits card game. Make sure you guys don't miss it if you're interested, and with that, hope to see you guys in the next Battle Spirits video.